Well, today marks 1 year since these 8 people lost their lives when a gunman opened fire on them at the FedEx facility on the southwest side.
This is a day that certainly has left its mark on the city of Indianapolis. At the time, it was the largest mass shooting at a workplace since the beginning of the pandemic.
And for the first time, we're hearing some of the 911 calls made that day.
And what's going on there today?
There's shooting.
Somebody was shot.
Multiple shots, but they're still here.
Karen Campbell joins us to take a look back at what happened after those first 911 calls were made. Karen, it's tough to listen to.
Yeah, it is definitely hard to hear. Those 911 calls started to come in around 11 o'clock that night, and that's why a lot of people didn't realize there had been a mass shooting in Indianapolis until many of them woke up the next morning. Thursday night, April 15th, a night filled with chaos, confusion, and fear. At 11 p.m., IMPD responded to an active shooter at the FedEx ground facility on Mirabel Road near the Indianapolis International Airport. In just minutes, a man with a rifle shot and killed 8 people and injured 5 others before taking his own life.
This is a sight that no one should ever have to see.
At least 100 workers were inside at the time of the shooting.
He got out of his car and pretty quickly started some random shooting outside the facility.
Many workers changing shifts and on their dinner breaks when they heard gunshots.
I'm at a bench, and so I stand up and I take a look at the entrance door, and by the time I see the door, I see a man come out with a rifle in his hand, and he starts firing and he starts yelling stuff that I could not understand. As
daylight broke, so did many hearts. Families learned of their loved ones passing, others waiting several hours at a nearby hotel in anticipation to hear from and hug their loved ones. And perhaps one of the most emotional moments of that night, because I was there covering it early that morning, was the fact that many of these families, they were trying to reach their loved ones by cell phone, and it was just a difficult time trying to reach them and find out, are they okay? Are they not okay? So that was, again, that excruciating, just heartfelt moment.
Well, it was. It went overnight and into the next day that families were waiting to hear word. Did their loved one make it or not?
Hours.
Right. All right, Karen, thank you so much.
Yeah, and our coverage continues tonight. We actually have Rich Nye here with us to share more on the 8 people who lost their lives.
8 people from all over the world, 8 people from all over central Indiana, connected by tragedy at their workplace.
Rich, you better come on with the drop.
8 people were shot and killed arriving to work or about to go home. Matt Alexander was 32 years old. Matt loved Christmas and baseball. He played for Avon High School, where he graduated in 2007.
Just hug your kids, tell them you love them, because you never know when it's going to be the last time that you see them.
Amen.
Matt's family has established a memorial baseball tournament and annual scholarship. 19-year-old Samaria Blackwell from Beech Grove was the youngest of 4 children in her family. She played homeschool basketball and soccer and dreamed of becoming a police officer. Police departments from all over the country sent patches to her family. Carly Smith was also 19, a 2020 graduate of Washington High School. She played softball and liked to send selfies to friends and family. Carly was waiting for a ride home after work when she was shot.
The fact that this even took place is a detrimental blow to her friends, her family. It's an ongoing process for me to try to comprehend, because no one should ever have to bury their child.
John Weisert, who went by Steve, was the oldest victim at 74. We first learned about the retired engineer as his wife, Mary Carroll, waited and eventually received the worst news the day after the shooting. The couple would have celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary last fall. 4 of the victims were from the Sikh community. 68-year-old Jaswinder Singh just started working at FedEx 2 weeks before the shooting. He was shot and killed waiting in line for his first paycheck.
In our culture, we depend on our elders. Whatever we can do, we need his advice. So whole family is feeling now, he's not here, so big part gone of our family.
66-year-old Amarjit Johal was a mother and grandmother. Her family says anyone who knew her would say that she was their mother. She loved to cook and found joy in feeding people. 50-year-old Jasvinder Kaur and 48-year-old Amarjit Sekhon were related by marriage. They rode to work together and were shot in their car as they arrived. Amarjeet worked the night shift to provide for her disabled husband and 2 sons. 8 FedEx employees gone for a year now. Their families forever changed.
And 5 other people were shot and survived that night. We reached out to several of them, but they chose not to comment at this time.
That's understandable.
Sure.
It's a lot, and I know it's a lot to report on this and to see it, to watch it, but I'm glad you're doing it because it really shows the families, the people that are still left behind that love these folks.
Well, that's right, and they certainly do want some changes so something like this doesn't happen to other families as well.
Absolutely.
So what about the company? FedEx not holding any events today, but did release a statement saying, quote, "We're working to establish a permanent space in the Indianapolis area that can serve as a place of healing and a beacon of hope where community members can gather to honor those affected by this senseless tragedy and consider the strength, resilience, and diversity of the Indianapolis community."
And you have a chance to remember the lives lost during the FedEx shooting during a vigil tomorrow. The city of Beech Grove will hold the vigil at 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon on the steps of City Hall. One of the victims, Samaria Blackwell, was from Beech Grove.
And we do have you covered over the next 80 minutes as we take a look back at the FedEx shooting.
In 20 minutes, we're going to look at the emotional assistance for the families as they waited to see if their loved ones made it.
Plus, we're going to share why the families of 5 of the victims now have decided that they're going to sue FedEx.
And more on how you can honor the lives lost next weekend.